So today we're going to talk about karmic force and the power of vows, right? Karma, well, we all have karma, and we'll kind of explain what that is, and then, but, along with karma, why is there karma? There's this karmic force, okay? And how we want to deal with that, basically through having vows and fulfilling our vows to overcome the karma, right? Because we don't want to. Obviously, people we complain when something bad happens to us, but it's due to our karma, but we can do something about it. Okay, it's not just let it happen. Of course, yeah. Okay. So, what is karma? So does anyone care to say what karma is?
Anybody want to share what karma? Yeah.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Well, yeah, okay. I mean, yeah. We sometimes, in life, because we're not aware, we're not awakened. Maybe that a lot of things that happen to us, and then we think it's maybe it's an accident, or we ask, well, why did this happen to me? But probably the most likely reason is karma. It's something, so karma is actually the result. Yeah.
Holy teacher said, whatever we don't like it, whatever something that happened to us, Jesus, I don't like this. And something keep happening, something happens around us, we don't like it.
It's karma. Huh?
It keep happening to us. Okay? That's karma. That's Holy teacher for us.
Yeah, okay, so you can say it's kind of trying to, life is about, we're cultivating our heart and mind, trying to, it's kind of like being put into that crucible, and thrown into the fire, so to speak, to kind of overcome our, you can say our deficiencies, things like that, through karma, okay, through the tests of karma. All right, but karma is actually the result of our actions and deeds. Okay.
Called law of causality.
Yeah, it's part of the law of
So
causality.
without law of causality, there will be no karma. So law of causality is something that's, you can say, it's built in. It's like built into the existence,
Yeah,
or
right.
whatever, or the cosmos, whatever you want to call it, right? Because there's
Yeah.
law of causality. So therefore, karma flow. It's a
Right.
direct result
Right,
or
right.
consequence
Right.
of the laws of causality.
Yeah. This is, it's a universal, universal law, natural law, let's say, and it exists, and because it exists, that we do have something called karma, that we create karma. Okay, but the deeds don't have to be things that we actually do. It could be meant, obviously it also includes things that we say, and also what we think. So thoughts can plant the seeds of karma as well. So we have to be careful of our thoughts. So that's Buddha's always remind us that our thoughts, that's why always saying, think good thoughts, things like that. Don't think just all sorts of bad thoughts. Those will plant the seeds of karma, okay? And then eventually they'll come back to us, right? So it's also the result of having intention or attachment and attachment, okay? So basically, things that we do, if we do it with intention, especially with respect to self, this idea of self, that I do it for me, for I, right? That will cause karma. Same with attachments. We have a lot of attachments. We we like things. We dislike things. They're types of attachments, desires. Okay, if we do things according to those, that's also creating karma. Okay, so there's a karmic force behind that. And it's also the result of ultimately ignorance. Okay, so we're ignorant of what the truth is. What is the true reality, right? We think, oh, this is a wonderful world, this is a wonderful life, everything is so wonderful and that I can get my hands on, whatever, enjoy. But those are it's according to Buddha, of course, the Four Noble Truths, that these are the things that cause us to create karma. Okay. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. Okay, so, there's we set in motion this karmic chain of events from our initial action, okay, whether it's actually done or it's even in our thought. we set that in motion, right? So normally in physics, right, Newtonian physics, at least we talk about, an object at rest stays at rest until it's acted upon by a force, right? So originally, if our heart and mind, if we can be at rest, then we don't create karma, okay? But because we have that thought, we have that initial thought, that intention, that's a force. That's a motivational force. That's a force that causes something to happen. And so just like karma, and that'll start the chain of events that creates karma. Okay, so it's just like you see there in the that you push that first block, that domino, and we don't realize that there's a whole chain of blocks behind it, the dominoes behind it, and it's a domino effect. You push that first block, and then it knocks down the second block, knocks down the third block, etc. Chain reaction takes place, and so basically that becomes, you can say, it eventually leads to the karmic, the resolution or the consequence of that initial action. Okay, so eventually, we're going to find ourselves in the path of those blocks one day, and when the block comes coming down and knocks us over. Okay, so that's when the karma comes back to us. All right. Okay, so basically, what that means is we become the victim of our own past misdeeds and the beneficiaries of our own past kindnesses. It's kind of like a pay it forward. Okay, we're paying ourselves forward. Okay, so whatever we do now, what goes around comes around. So eventually, we think, oh, I do it to someone else, but it's not going to come back to me. But karma, the law of karma, says that it will come back to me. Okay, so we have to be careful of what we do. So we do something bad. Yes, we may not get caught by the law, right? The human laws. Maybe we get away with it, but then that's temporary only, right? Karma doesn't forget. Okay, karma will chase us down for however many lifetimes it takes. Okay, when the conditions are right, it's going to come back to us. Right, so obviously, if we do good things, then good things will come our way again. All right. So this karma actually it gets a little technical in the Buddhist teachings. They talk about the 12 links of dependent origination. Okay, that's really how we create karma. Okay, so basically that diagram on that picture on the right is, I think it's from a Tibetan Buddhist drawing, but it's showing this 12 links of dependent origination. Okay, so that circle, the big circle is really samsara. Okay, that's the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. And why we're in there is because of these 12 links of dependent origination. Now, dependent origination means that there is a cause, but there's a cause for everything. Okay, and causes lead to other causes, to consequences also lead to causes, etc. Okay, so, but everything within that, you can say everything within samsara, everything within, all this karma is, it's not independent. Okay, so causes are not also independent. Okay, so it's very hard to pinpoint, say, oh, this is the one cause of this consequence. Okay.
Cause is the result of a previous cause.
Yeah, and so causes and consequences, it can get kind of murky. So what's the cause? What's the consequence? They're all mixed together. They're entangled. So it's very hard to say pinpoint. Isolate. So this.
One cause.
What's happening to me now is because of this specific thing. Okay, it could be many things. Okay, so that's part of the whole thing. But this chain, these links here, right, start with ignorance. Actually, it could start with anyone, but in fact, it's a circle. So you have ignorance. Ignorance, what? Ignorance of the Four Noble Truths. So we're not, we don't understand the true reality, right? What's the Four Noble Truths? Right? Anyone? You should know?
Hey, by the way, the 12 links, the 12因缘法, right, is his second discourse, 第二个如来佛的悟道以后, right? It's his second lecture. You know that? The first one is the Eightfold Path, Four Noble Truths. Okay, then the second one is this. talk about this. You know that?
Yeah.
Okay, people don't know, but that's okay.
So, but yeah, so I mean, so it just shows
So they're
how
linked. They're linked.
yeah, of course, it's all related. So the Four Noble Truths are what? That life is dukkha, right? Suffering or dissatisfaction, okay? Life is unsatisfactory. Second is that there's a cause. And what's that cause, right? It's our desires, our, attachments. Ultimately, it's our ignorance of what this truth, right?
Wrong views that leads to desires, attachments,
Right.
etc. etc.
Right. And the third is that there is a way, I mean, we can end that dukkha, end the dukkha, okay? And then the fourth truth is that, you just we have to follow that way, okay? Which is the Eightfold Noble Path, okay? Eightfold Path, right? So, but anyway, so that's what ignorance. So you can kind of say that ignorance is the start of, of all of this. If we didn't have that ignorance, we wouldn't fall into this trap, if you will, right? So, but because of ignorance, right, that conditions us to then do things, the volitional action, which is we do things according to our desires, etc. Things that are not that because we see everything as being real when it's not, and things like that.
Yeah, so that's why that those volitional acts are a result of our wrong views.
Yeah.
And the wrong views are a result of our ignorance.
Yeah.
Huh? Get it? So see, cause to becomes effect becomes cause.
Right.
Cause to
Right. So
effect.
each one of these is kind of like becomes the cause of the next one. And then so basically because of our ignorance, we do things that we shouldn't do, which ends up creating karma. Okay. So then the next one they talk about consciousness, which is really the consciousness of our six senses. Okay, our sixth sense consciousnesses. And remember, we, in the Buddha nature, we talk about we have to transform those consciousnesses into wisdom. Okay, so, but if we just follow those consciousness, which is really, just going with the feeling, going with sensation, the perception, all these things in our mind, how we deal with the world, those are the things that cause us to create karma. Okay. Name and form, which is also, which is really talking about the mental and the physical aspects, okay? And then the six faculties, of course, are our senses themselves, right? Our physical senses plus the mind is part of that.
Six consciousness.
The six, yeah. So, well, these are more like the organs, if you will, the bases of those senses. And then contact. So contact means the contact between our sense organs and the objects. So subject and object, okay? Those, when they come together, right? So, so that's why, in some cases, when they talk about in the practice or cultivation to avoid certain contact, right? Avoid contact with certain things, right? Because as soon as we see things or do things, we make contact. And those things get stored in our eighth consciousness, okay? And those have become the seeds of karma, right? So sometimes one way to avoid that is to avoid making that contact. So we don't want to see things that we shouldn't see, right? The four knots, right? As part of that. So that's one practice, is to avoid those things. All right? And then after contact, there's sensation, feeling, right? So after we see something or we hear something or we feel something, right, then there's that sensation that we say, maybe it's pleasurable, it's unpleasurable, or it could be neutral. Okay, we could have a neutral feeling about something, right? Okay, and then so then it's kind of that we can fall into a duality of like and dislike. So that's something that we need to avoid. Like and dislike, again, is something that we made up, okay? It's made up in our mind, okay? It's not real. It doesn't really exist. I mean, there's no such thing as this being, this thing is something that's likable, this thing is not likable, okay? It's just, there's no such thing. That's something that we made up in our own minds. Okay, so that's something we want to try to avoid. Then after that, so then there's craving, okay? So craving is, you can say it's desire, okay? Desire. So then through that conditioning of the senses, right, we start feeling, oh, I kind of like this, right? So after you eat something, say, oh, this tastes good to me, or maybe it doesn't taste good. I don't like it. So that's kind of the negative type of craving is aversion, right? So, but once we have that craving and aversion, that again is that duality. So craving, though, that desire leads us to, so, oh, I like this, so I eat more of it, right? I want more of this. And then eventually, that can also lead to, obsession, right? Stronger, it leads to the next thing, which is attachments, okay? Attachments, which basically, or kind of attachment. So that is a more stronger thing. So that, I can't let it go. It's like I have to have this. And it doesn't have to be very strong. It doesn't have to be necessarily a real obsession, okay? As long as we have any kind of attachment, meaning we just can't let it go, be able to let it go in any situation, then, it's an attachment. So once we have that attachment, then that leads to the next thing, which is becoming, which is really kind of like the next stage that we are becoming it, or we are, it's like we become inseparable from it, okay? And then that then leads to birth, okay? So birth is the next stage, obviously. So it's a start over in the next, whatever it is that we do.
Existence.
Yeah, it could be
It
could be another existence, right? And then finally, after birth, then you have aging and death as well. Okay, so that's the inevitable end of that.
Right, which is there's going to be it could take some time.
Yeah, right.
But see, actually, these 12, we tend to view it as in terms of something that's physical, right? But it's also
Yeah, it's
mental.
happening
Yeah.
in the mind
it could
too.
Be very short, or it could
Right,
be very
yeah,
long,
right.
or as long as a human life existence or whatever. But it could also be very, very short.
Yeah, this applies
emotion.
not just to our entire life or lifetimes, but it applies within our life as well. Things happening. So that birth can talk about it's just like a new beginning in something. Like we start a new endeavor, a new job, or even thoughts. Yeah, at that level.
Emotions,
So it's very quick.
Passions, all
Right.
that.
So these are the links, and so as long as we are, in following this chain of links, then we're going to create. We're going to follow this, and we're going to create karma, and we're going to be in this cycle samsara. Okay. So actually, in that picture there, okay. So we're kind of stuck there. It's actually the Mara or the
The 6, 7.
yeah, whatever. He's in control of this world, right? The world of desire.
Desire, the realm of desire.
And in the center of that circle is the 3 poisons. So that's the root of all our you can say the 3 poisons, greed, anger, right? Or hatred and ignorance. Okay, that's the root of our really being, creating this dukkha, the suffering. Okay, and so we have to get rid of those three poisons. Now you see in the upper right corner is the Buddha. He's pointing at pointing at the truth. He's pointing at the sun or the moon, whatever it is. He's pointing at the truth. So he's outside. He's already beyond this. He's not part of this, within this anymore. Okay, because he's broken the links and he's outside of it. Actually, when we become like a Buddha, basically nirvana, or there's no more. This all disappears, basically. It's like not part of it, part of these links, right? So he's pointing at that truth. And so we need to follow, basically, the Buddha is telling us how to, pointing at the truth and tell us how to break out of this cycle, right? So we need to learn from the Buddhas, right? Okay, so let's see, the karmic force is that becoming, okay, that becoming it's that becoming is similar to that volitional action, actually. Okay, but, okay, so there's this karmic force, okay? So we set in motion this karmic force. This karmic force will transcend space and time, right? So it's not just happening, it's just in this lifetime and it ends in this lifetime. It continues after this lifetime, okay? So So the karma that we see today, the consequences that we see today, the results of karma is from the previous lifetimes. So that karmic force is still with us, stays with us, no matter where we are or when. You know, the karmic force is latent or it's very subtle until the conditions are ripe, right? So we don't realize that we are all, you can say the path that we're taking in our lives, it's always leading us to the resolution of karma, to you know, fulfilling that karma, all right? So, and who knows, we have so many different karmas that we created, so it's all sorts of different things that happen in our lives. So the karmic is, you know, basically it's the causes plus the conditions, and you get the consequences, okay? And as we said, the conditions are also made up of causes and consequences. Therefore, it's very complicated. It's not like just one, you know, one single cause. Okay, so that's why it's very hard to disentangle it and say, oh, point out to one particular thing. All right, so everything is kind of mixed together. All right. Okay, so but yeah, you need there's always, besides the cause, there's always the conditions. If the conditions, see, the cause has already, that's like planting the seed, okay? It's already done, right? You can't change the cause. But the conditions can change. Conditions can change. And because conditions can change, we can ultimately alter the consequence, okay? So that's the key point, all right? And we'll, okay. So basically, here's how it maps out, the 12 links, how it maps out into past, present, and future lives. Okay, so the first two, ignorance, the way that, you know, the Buddhism, and they explain it, right? In the past life, you have, because you have ignorance and you've done things, right? The cause had volitional action. That becomes the cause. That's the cause from the past life for the current, you can say, the current consequences in present life. Okay, so then the next five, right, are the consequences. So we have a consciousness, we have the body and the mind, the faculties, right, and then we also, you know, we're living a life. We make contact to new, you know, our environment, the objects, and we feel. Okay, so but then we're also in this life, we're also planting the seeds, you know, the causes. Setting up the causes and conditions for the next life, the future life, right? Through our craving, attachment, and becoming. Okay, so those desires, those attachments, then lead to the future. In the future life, then we're going to be reborn. You know, we're going to get old and die, and then of course we go through the whole process, everything, all these 12 links again. And so that's kind of how it relates to our lives, right? Okay. So again, you know, our past lives, our present life, and our future lives, they're all linked by these 12 links of dependent origination. All right. And it's also, you know, one of the things is that we tend to think of the cause happening before the consequence, but it's hard to say that. I mean, we can't really, because we tend to think of things timed linearly, okay? So we always think that the causes comes before the consequence. But it's kind of, you know, one description in the sutras is Indra's net, right? That everything is contained within everything else, okay? So all you can say that all the consequences, all the causes are contained within other causes and consequences. And so it's all like this one mesh, this big net. And so if you can break it, then everything kind of disappears, everything dissolves. So, but that's kind of, it's really, they're all interrelated. They're all interrelated, in other words, okay. Okay, so, you know, so we carry a lot of this karmic burden with us, right? We have to let go to find that inner peace. Basically, we have all this wealth, fame, power, etc., you know, eating, sleeping, you know, all these things, you know, and the three poisons, right? So these are things that are kind of weighing us down and keeping us from really becoming enlightened, breaking out of this cycle, right? So that's something that we have to realize, and we need to be able to learn to let go, right? We have to let go of these things. You know, we pursue all these things for for money, you know, for fame, all these things for our existence, but that's why we should, it's enough is enough, right? The Buddhist, the middle way, we don't go to extreme, right? Either extreme, right? We say, oh, don't deny ourselves anything, or go to the extreme of wanting everything, right? Those extremes are not the right way. We just, the middle path, whatever is just needed, whatever we need, that's sufficient is good enough, right? And then but we ultimately we need to be able to learn to let go and not over pursue these things, right? Okay, so there are different types of karma, right? There's what we consider, to be positive or good karma. So good things happen, right? We do good things, and then good things happen to us. Okay, that's what we consider to be good karma. Negative or bad karma, right? We did something bad, and something bad is happening to us. All right. So, but usually we don't see the cause where we did something bad. Then and we start blaming. We say, oh, why did this bad thing happen? Right. But that's again. Remember we said earlier that what we're paying it forward, right? From the past life, we did something bad, and we're gonna pay it forward to ourselves in the future. So something bad's gonna happen to us again. Right? There's individual karma, right? And this is on the other axis, so it's kind of a different dimension, that we have our own individual karma. So these are things that we did ourselves, that we're going to pay the consequences for ourselves, okay, by ourselves. And that's, we understand that. So actually, like cancer is you can say it's a disease of karma, okay? So a lot of times it's kind of unexplained how we get the cancer, all right? It's not very clear, but these are due to karma, and it affects us individually. But collective karma is something that affects a group of people together, okay? So, we see that happen in an accident, plane crash, train accident, or, a building gets blown up. Now, all these people are together. They may not know each other, right? It doesn't matter. They in past lives, they may have done something together to create that collective karma. Okay, so that's kind of a group karma, where people have done things together, involved, in that same act, that in the future they're going to get all pay back together. Okay, so now. Individual karma is kind of easier to overcome, because we can cultivate for ourselves. But then the collective karma, the group karma, is a little bit harder because it involves the whole group. Okay, so it's a bit harder to do that. All right, yeah.
In collective karma, because in group there, something happens to group. You might see some people are innocent in their group.
Right.
Unfortunately, it happened at one moment. He or she is part of it. So that happened to the person too. So usually it happens to that group. But unfortunately, we were there or someone else is in that position. So you got into the group. So that you also pay for it together. So that's sometimes it's not 100% all everybody in the group. It could be some exception, but unfortunately.
Right. Yeah, I guess that also depends on the individual's karma, right? Sometimes they might be caught up in that. Other times they can avoid it too. Okay, so originally they're, like sometimes, people, this plane crashes, right? Before the plane crash, right? This person was supposed to get on that plane, but he didn't for whatever reason, right? So that could be due to the karma is not, so it depends as well. But it's not, I guess, I don't know, what Transparent Lynn is saying is it's not perfect. Sometimes, people fall into the cracks, and they get involved and they get hurt in those karma as well, the group karma, even though they may not really be involved in that group earlier, previous life, okay. So that can happen, okay. All right. Okay, so, but anyway, so those are the types of karma that we have to deal with, right? So how do we deal with the karma, right? We have to realize that karma is self-created, first of all right? So that's, again, part of the Four Noble Truths. You can say, we're the victims of our own doing, right? So we have no one else to blame but ourselves when something bad happens. Of course, when something good happens, of course, it's also our own doing from past lives. So we have to have that proper understanding, the proper view, okay, so through the Four Noble Truths. We should always be repentant, okay, no matter what. Because once we understand that, oh, karma is something that we create ourselves, then, we should repent. Even though we don't know maybe what we did wrong, but having that a mind of repentance really helps, as long as it's sincere. We have to have that sincerity to repent. Say, oh, okay, this must be that I did something wrong, and I sincerely repent. I wish to pay back my debts. Okay, basically, ultimately, it's if we don't fight against it, if we try to fight against karma, it won't end. Okay, it will not end, because then we end up creating more karma. Okay, so the only way out of that is to let the karma resolve. We repent, okay, sincerely. Always be grateful, right? Always try to be grateful, no matter what's happening. That's kind of part of it. And ultimately, to let go, non-attachment, let it go. So something bad is happening. I don't feel like, I want to get back at whoever did this to me, right? We have to let it go. If we have that mind of wanting to get back at the other person or whoever is causing it, then that just creates a cycle, right? Start a new one, right? So from this karmic consequence, then we create a new action, a new cause for more karma. Okay, so we want to avoid that, right? So this Wayne Dwyer says, how people treat you is their karma. How we react is yours. So, no matter how people treat us, we can think of it that way as being their karma. Okay, that they're being a jerk, they're being whatever. But that's, you can say, even though it's happening to us, right? We can say they're causing their own karma. And we shouldn't get involved and become part of that by fighting, going against that or creating more conflict, right? So the way we react is very important, all right? So we can thank the person, be grateful. That can dissolve that karma for good, okay? So we also we can avoid creating more karma, right? So again, end the cycle of karma, breaking the 12 links of dependent origination. So, ignorance is very key to that, and also attachments, right? Just like we talked about earlier. And we can practice, so that's why the Buddha's, telling us, okay, these are ways, through like the Eightfold Path or through practicing these precepts that we can avoid creating more karma. Right? Or, how we treat people, the golden rule, okay? Right? Treat others as we would want others to be treated, treat us, okay? And, the middle way, right? The path of again, not going to the extremes, okay? So this is basically the way that we can avoid creating more karma. So again, the precepts, like killing, for example. So obviously, one of you can say the most, I guess, an important and practical way to avoid creating more karma is to become vegan, okay, vegetarian, okay, not killing, because if we eat meat, we're killing, okay, even though it's indirect killing, essentially, but we're contributing to killing, and therefore, so that's really, you have to emphasize that that's the best way to start this process of avoiding more karma, okay. And that we can control in our lives, all right? And obviously, get rid of our bad temper so we don't get angry and cause more karma, things like that, and get rid of our bad habits. Okay, so, and then the other thing is that we have to resolve existing karma, okay? So we can avoid new karma, but we already have existing karma, okay? So remember that karmic force, it was set in motion, right? Those blocks are the domino effect, it's still falling down, okay? So there's that force that's continuing. Things are in motion. So we need a force that can stop that. And so basically making vows, okay? Making and fulfilling those vows. Not just making the vows. Vow is a promise, right? That we're going to do something. So we have to make those vows and to fulfill them. All right? So if we don't practice or put them, to fulfill the vows, then, it's kind of an empty promise. So we can't do that. Basically, some people, they think, I just need some magical abilities, right? Some special powers. I can overcome karma. But that's We know that's not true. So theurgy is kind of like supernatural powers, right? It's no match for karmic force, right? So, even the Moggallana, right, who's the disciple of Buddha, yeah, I mean, he had all these supernatural powers, but yet he could not overcome karma with those powers. Okay, so those who seek, these special powers, think that they can control karma and things like that, they're fooling themselves. Okay, so maybe temporarily you can kind of avoid it, but eventually you get it back. Okay, it's still going to get you. All right.
So basically, it's the same magic.
Yeah, kind of magic, supernatural. Yeah, right. Right. So that's not the way, all right? So basically, the way is through, all the Buddhas, they make vows, okay? So, like the four immeasurable minds of a Buddha, a Bodhisattva or Buddha, right? The loving kindness, through or infinite loving kindness, infinite compassion, infinite joy in the good fortune of others, infinite equanimity, right? Through this kind of a mindset, you can say, you can say that this can be our motivation to try to do good, right? To help others, right? If we have a motivation to help sentient beings, again, remember, we're helping ourselves, right? When we help others, we're helping ourselves. Because we are one. We are all one, right? There is no you and me, really. So we're all equal, and we are all actually one, of one essence. So we using this form immeasurable minds to kind of push us in that direction. All right, compassion is the greatest force in the universe. It's not saying, this person was bad to me, so I'm going to get back and have revenge. That's the equal. That's kind of a part of that duality, where it's the opposite, and that will just continue that cycle of karma. Compassion can break that cycle, right? It's kind of like this is really the philosophy or the principles of Tao are like that, right? Be like water, be soft, be gentle, right? Be kind, and so compassion is the way, right?
Or like what Jesus says, right? Turn the other cheek.
Yeah, turn the other cheek, right? I mean that's
I mean that's like one extreme. It's like how can people do that?
Right. I mean, so it's let it happen, but then through, you can say turning the other cheek is show of compassion, show of mercy, showing of love, right? That can really transform people. Because that can touch people's hearts, minds. Okay, not being
an eye for an eye.
An eye for an eye is not the way to transform. People are gonna.
Yeah. People generally interpret eye for eye means that justice. That's justice, right? See, actually, that's a very superficial interpretation. Actually, what is the grander picture is really eye for an eye.
Cause and effect, karma.
Cause and effect,
Yeah.
karma. Talk about
That's
equal.
what it's talking about.
Talk about equal. That's it.
Yeah.
That's really
Right.
the higher level,
Right. Yeah.
of understanding.
Yeah. Did you have? No. All right. Okay. 5 minutes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So our blessings and good fortune do not come from what fortune tellers tell us, but it comes from performing kind deeds. Okay. So basically through our actions, and neither do they come from prayer or demanding or asking for something good. But it comes from through our cultivation. So everything comes through our actions. Okay, so it's not like I prayed to God, I prayed to Buddha for blessing. We have to act. We have to act because ultimately, really, we don't realize we are the Buddha. We are the Buddha. So really, who are we praying to? We should be praying to ourselves, to the Buddha nature. Okay, because we can actually effect change in our own lives. We don't really need to ask anyone, any Buddha or divine supreme being, to interfere to help us on our behalf, to help us. Okay, really, we have the ability to take destiny, to change our karmic fate for ourselves. Okay, right. So. The immortal longevity, right? He says to resolve karma, we must have the great power of vows, right? The power of vows is from our original mind, okay? That Buddha mind, not from the outside, right? It comes from within, right? So again, we don't seek outside for that help. That power comes from within from our own Buddha nature. So how do we do it? charity or, through giving, right? According to our material abilities, our realization, and our conduct. Basically, the three types of giving, right? We can give materially, we can give through essentially dharma or teachings, through our own realization or understanding, and through our own conducts, okay? And only with our wholehearted effort in performing these three types of giving can we overcome karmic force, right? Remove the root of dukkha and achieve inner peace, right? So again, ultimately, this is the ultimate self-help, right? Really,
We're empowered.
we are empowered, really.
It's positive.
It is
a positive view.
Yeah, it's probably, I mean, because really, ultimately, we are the Buddha. We are Buddha, okay? So there's no need to ask for some external Buddha or divine being to help us. We are empowered to do things ourselves.
Well, we do pray to say,
Yeah, we pray.
help us achieve it ourselves.
Yeah.
Help us.
Yeah,
Help
to guide us.
Help give us the
Right,
courage or
right.
the faith.
Yeah, sometimes we do need to seek that external support, okay?
Yeah,
But
that's
ultimately,
support.
that power is within us, okay? And maybe that support externally is to kind of help bring that push us in that direction, okay? Okay, so, Holy Teachers where he says, with the power of vows, there is a motivating force. With the goals, having setting those goals, then there is a purpose in that effort. And with the concentration and basically with great effort, we can achieve, make great achievements, okay? Okay, so, during this time, with the universal propagation of great Tao, okay, calamities have also arrived. So even, so our karma is now, we're in a great time period where we need to resolve karmas, right? We're in this white period where karmas are all going to get resolved. Yeah, I'm almost done here. Basically, so what the Immortal Longevity is here saying that, right now we're in the white period, right? So we have the universal propagation of Tao, but there are also many calamities during this period, right? So really, the calamities, if you want to say it, is really the caused by it's karma. Okay, it's due to karma, all right. So this is a time for basically karmic payback. This is the karmic payback period because we're nearing the end of the cycle, right? So coming near the end of the cycle, there's the big, the resolving of karmas. Okay. So that's why we have all these calamities. Now, our holy teacher is helping us with half of our karmic debts, right? Temporarily blocking the debt collectors, right? So we must perform merits and fulfill our vows quickly and without delay to clear up our karmic debts, right? So our holy teacher, Jigong Buddha, he can only kind of block them for, limited time, right? Yeah. So it's for a short period of time where he blocks. Those karmic debt collectors say, okay, let this cultivator, let him cultivate and accumulate merits, but eventually we still have to pay off those debts, okay? Hopefully it's through our merits rather than getting, an accident or something happening.
Usually when we receive Tao, or anyone receive Tao, usually give us a grace period, we call grace period, give us 2 to 3 years. At that time, sometimes heavy stuff going to happen to us or to our family. Put us, we call them, say, give them time to accumulate enough merits to offset those karma. Okay, that's what the Buddha can do for us. But after those years, 2 to 3 years later, they will return all those karma to us. So hopefully we have enough merit to offset them. Okay, and so we need to accumulate enough merits during those periods. But let me put it this way. As long as we are always in the temple every day, every time, as much as we can, they are always there for us. They're not worried about that. What is it? Our hearts always in the temple try to help the living being with a true heart in ourselves on daily life. That's more important in our daily life. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. So I mean, so making vows. So we make vows, right? So it's a promise. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a real official vow where we kneel before the altar and burn this document. I mean, it could be a vow just in our mind, but it's a promise. Okay. So we shouldn't break the promise, or or it becomes meaningless. So we have to have that sincerity to make a vow. Say, oh, I want to do something good. I want to do something for others. These are things, any type of vow. It could be small, big, as long as it's kind of practical that we can do, or maybe not achieve right away, but over time, that this can help us, okay, resolve some of these karmic debts, right? So, ultimately, the holy teachers say that the Tao that we're cultivating, right, it's to clear up our sins, not so that we neither have illnesses nor difficulties, right? Because these karmas, sometimes they're tests, okay, that happen. It's not to not have any of these things happen, okay? But we have to clear up our sins, okay? That's just our past karma. It's to give us wisdom and enlightenment, right? Not so that we can enjoy a smooth life, comfortable life. I mean, everyone wants that, but that's not really the ultimate, okay? Because we want to really, ultimately, we want to gain wisdom and enlightenment, okay? Become the Buddha, right? Because once we become the Buddha, then we don't have to go through this. We don't have this karma happening to us, okay? So that's the ultimate goal. Let us understand and realize the truth, not so that we can get whatever we pray for, right? People always wanting things, but it's really, that's not what we should be pursuing, okay? Because again, that's still leading, that's still within the samsara, causing us to create more karma. Resolve our karmic debts and return to heaven, really. That's what our goal is, right? Because as long as we still have karmic debts, we still have to pay it off, okay, in this samsara. So it's not so that we can avoid misfortunes and calamities, right? People always want that, but really we have to resolve our karmic debts, and ultimately so that we can transcend life and death, right? Not so that we can live forever in this world. Living forever in this world is useless. We're gonna, it's dukkha, okay? It's gonna constant suffering and creating karma, okay? So that's not really the goal.
Yeah, I think human being always, okay, I want to receive Tao, receive religion, whatever. And or even the superpowers, I have sickness, I'm painful. They say, he touched me, man, the pain is gone. I recover already. Human beings pursue those kind of short-term relief, okay? But Tao is released as one reincarnation. Means we don't want to come back to reincarnation. If we have to come down again as a Buddha, we have a choice where we want to go. Okay? We have a choice where we want to go. But human beings, we came down, we didn't have choice. Because most of people we have power. So we came down, they decide to where we have to go. But as the Buddhas, they can choose where they want to go, to reborn or whatever different life again. So I think that the key for the Tao is we can avoid the reincarnation to transcend the life and death. That's the main point when we see the first three treasuries, right? When the holy teacher opened our gate, that's the main difference between Tao and religion. We always talk about. So I think that's very, very critical for all of us to explain to the people. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Buddha wants. I mean, the Buddha wants us to become enlightened, to transcend this cycle, to become a Buddha, essentially. Because, yeah.
Yeah, people don't realize that. I think it's because we are so, how can I say, it becomes a habit. We are so used to, our habitual nature to just believing or thinking that what is real or what is permanent is just what our six senses.
What we see.
Yeah, what we see, touch, feel, sense. This is it. That this is real. That this is permanent, or that this is true. We have to break through that. We have to. That's really the enlightened way. That's it. If we cannot break through, then you can never achieve Buddha. We cannot. Okay? So that's very critical. All right.
Let me put one more way. When I see the Nepalese, because I was in Pittsburgh and also in Virginia last 2 or 3 weeks. You see those people, they are living in conditions. Okay? But one thing they believe in themselves so much is they knew their Buddha reborn. They knew their Buddha reborn. It's so strong commitment that they say they were Buddha before. They were Buddha reborn to this lifetime. So they knew Buddha is within themselves. As long as they bring the Buddha nature out, they will be awakened again to become Buddhas. Okay? Human beings, because holy teacher always remarks, in America, we pursue the fame. It's not just America. We pursue fame, power, right? Whatever we are health, whatever we are pursuing this direction, we forgot we have a spiritual world, which we can become Buddha again. We can, if we want to come down, we can take Buddha walk, come down again. But at the moment we are different. You see the Holy Qigong teacher? He reborn, he becomes the other Tennan Buddha, right? He becomes the other Buddha, right? But the material, right? Our middle Buddha, he came down become Tennan, become Qigong Buddha, right? So they will become the other Buddha again. A human being, we gotta believe, everybody gotta believe, we are the Buddha reborn. We can become a Buddha as long as we can bring our Buddha nature out and then use our true Buddha nature to do the things every day, every second, every moment. Then we are Buddha. We have to, we want to. That's the key, we are here. We are different from the Tao and religions. That's the Tao. So it's unbelievable to sit down and also talk. The question is
Yeah, the fundamental difference of the Tao and religion is that it allows us to transcend samsara forever. I mean, that's a
10,800 years.
yeah. But then the more practical matter is that what allows us to return back is the three treasures. I mean, that's the practical side, the practical aspect. Okay? Now, actually, you know, we all think of we all say humans. We also how can I say attached to this present, you know, physical being. Okay, it's actually, you know, Buddhas really have all three. The Sansen Weidi, okay, Sansen, the Trikaya. I mean, that's an important concept. Buddhas have the what we call, well, when we are enlightened state, you can say enlightened, or as a Buddha, I mean, quote unquote, he said it's really called a Trikaya. They have what we call Sansen, right? Santi, right? Sansen, the Weidi, okay. It's called the Trikaya. It's called the Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and the Nirmanakaya. Okay. Buddhas have all three. We, as sentient beings, just human beings, because we're not yet at that, we haven't achieved that level, we are still fixated in the Nirmanakaya, which is the what we call the transformation. 化身. So we are so fixated that we just think, oh, this physical being is real. It's it. That's it. That's not true. That's only one of the three, okay? Actually, Buddhas, right? Buddhas have the Dharmakaya. Buddha can transform to become anything they want. Yeah, literally. Anything they want. They could transform into a tree. A tree. And then we think, oh, that tree has a Buddha nature. That's wrong, because then we separate, because we are separate. Buddha has no separation. Buddha is everywhere, anywhere, anytime. See? So for them, being a tree, a mountain, a forest, a lake, it's just one part. You understand? That's called Nirmanakaya. So if you can become a Buddha, you can do any of that. That's why Buddha, like you heard when we talk, right? You know, 西来极乐寺, right? The what's called the Western world, the
Paradise. Western paradise.
Yeah, the specimen is the term for that world. Okay, they can create their own Buddha world. You know that? That's how Buddha power is like that.
Yeah, let's come back here. The Buddha only stays in Chinese only 4 words.
Yeah, that's.
And he can become Buddha. 一向明佛 means when we away from all the forms, we are the Buddha already.
Yeah.
But how we away from all the forms? We take all the forms. Could be all the material world and anything. But for example, let me give you a short example. When people walk into the temple, we saw this gentleman, this is male and female. We saw this is elderly, this is the kids, right? This is people seems dressed nicely. This one is not like that. So people here, human beings, we see the forms. Okay? Buddha, they don't see that. They only see all the Buddha. Every Buddha coming into the Buddha nature. They see all the Buddha. They don't see the difference on elderly, young or kids, male, female. They don't see that. They only see the Buddha nature inside. They see each Buddha. So the human being, we need to adjust ourselves. We see all the Buddhas in front of us.
Yeah, that's also the mind of equanimity.
Yeah.
I mean,
The
also.
one lecture type put on at the end, at the end of last class. So we maybe have to start to
Yeah.
change it, thinking that way. We got to see everybody like Buddha. Equal. We see male, female, old man, child. Don't see it. Let's see everybody like Buddha. That's it. That's how Buddha. They treat everybody like Buddha. Yeah. So it's mindset from the way they think about it.
Yeah, we talked about this in what, previous class in the
They
Buddha.
don't see our physical body, they see something
They,
like
they don't see that form. They don't see that. Yeah, they see Buddha nature. They see the Buddha. Yeah. The Buddha nature. We call Buddha nature. The Buddha nature. They see everybody's a Buddha with the Buddha nature.
Yeah, they view everybody as what we call kingdoms. You know, the equal universal wisdom. Remember, we talked about that. The seventh consciousness, right? That's what that is. 平等之智慧的智 ，OK， 平等智 that's called equal universal wisdom. Get it?
Different. Human being is different. Right? We are not that level.
So that's what our
Once we started
self-consciousness
change a little bit thinking mindset.
transform it into
What we see is different, right?
That's what that means. Equal universal wisdom.
Yeah.
Mindset is different. It's everybody equal. There's
So
no
if you can do that, then you're on your way.
Right.
That's how Buddha sees
That's what a Buddha view is. Buddha view would be that.
Right.
nice and warm.
See, what humans do is
Human beings
male,
see
female,
differently,
young,
right?
rich, poor,
Right?
all that.
Differentiate the different people as human beings.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. No. Yeah. So I mean, that's basically, so. Again, we all have karma. To overcome the karma, if you will, we need to have these vows. Our vows is the best way to, fulfilling these vows, making vows and fulfilling the vows is the best way. Obviously, the vows are going to be, they're like compassion, kindness, whatever. It's doing things for sentient beings and not for ourselves or not for any that kind of intention. It's just doing things for others, helping others. Then that can help resolve that karma. Okay, so that's
But it's making vows and
you
achieving.
have to achieve it. Or
In others, we have to.
you have to do it. You have
Yeah,
to
you have to-
act on it. It's not just
Yeah,
having it
two
as
parts.
thought
You can say
or
just internal. You can say
right.
internal. That means you make you make a determination, or
Yeah.
you make vow is like
Yeah.
a determination. You can say setting a goal, right, and then you act upon it.
Yeah.
So it's two parts.
Yeah.
Right. 内跟外, right.
Right.
You have to do two parts, and it's actually it's another way of saying this. We have to make cultivation. We have to cultivate.
Yeah.
The more broader views.
I mean, because there are cases where cultivator, karma comes to this cultivator. They get cancer or something, and then so they ask they need to make a vow, okay, because there's a power in the vow. So they make a vow to do something good, and so because of that initial, you can say sincerity, right? They say, oh, I repent, I want to do this. Then they can dissolve some of that karma, but then that's temporary until you actually fulfill those vows, okay? So then that person, later on, they got better and say, oh, they forgot about the vow. Okay, you forget about the vow. So then, you're writing a blank, a check that's going to bounce, right? So eventually that karma comes back because it wasn't really dissolved because you didn't actually perform the vow, fulfill the vow. So then they get the cancer again, whatever. So it's very important that we can't make these empty promises. Okay, we can't make empty promises. We think we can fool them, we'll fool heaven or fool karma. We can't do that.
To the temple members.
Yeah, there are many cases of this happen where
Because whatever the natural time is talking about, when people they are sick, they're on the bed in the hospital.
they'll say anything, they'll do anything
Yeah,
to.
say, God, Buddha, help me, let me pass this one. I'm going to be rich. Yes, I'm going to be dedicating my time as much as we can to the temple or to the living being. And they don't
Back
they don't get covered. That's the usual reason since they forgot their law. You see what I mean? They say, oh, it's just naturally recovered, right? Not because Buddha or anybody helped the person recover. And he said, oh, no, I don't need to do that to fulfill the vow. Then what happened? He came back later on. Then Buddha Buddha said, first time you make a vow, you really didn't fulfill your vow. Now really cannot help you in this case. So the karma will not be. That's why since we talk about cause and effect, karma, Buddha always tell the most fair law in the universe is cause and effect. There's no accident at all. There's no accident at all. We always think
It's not random.
there's no random or accident happening on our karma. No.
It's random.
Must be something
You're
we've
lucky.
done.
You're not lucky.
So it happened to us this time. So it's
That's
always
not fair.
something happened before this what happened this time. So always very fair law. So every
Yeah, just that we don't see it. We don't see the cause.
Right.
That's right. And Buddha always say that. We don't see what happened in the past. Now, going back to this karma is that it's unfortunate, and it's unfortunate that when we have calamities, right, disasters, whatever, earthquakes, tsunamis, hurricanes, floods, God knows. Then people start saying, getting holy. Oh, yeah, pray to God, pray to the angels or saints or Buddhas, whatever, for help. It's unfortunate. Humans are like that. And then when we have no calamities, oh yeah, the economy's well, I have a job, I'm wealthy, I'm blah, 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 blah. Let the good times roll, man. What spiritual life? What God? What heaven? Who cares? Right? It's unfortunate. That's human. And that's the problem. That's the trap. You can say that's a trap that we definitely have to be mindful of. Don't fall to that trap. Oh, I'm young, I'm healthy. I have to get up at 7, drive 2 hours to come to this thing, and then what a waste. What a waste. I gotta go party, man. Oh man, God, I have so many things to do. I have to go shopping, man. I got so many things. I got so many things to do. That's a trap. That's a trap that we definitely have to avoid. And no. People say that maybe that comes with age. People say, oh, when you get older, been there, done that, you realize that, hey, it's not all what quite it seems, okay? Right? But unfortunately, we have to be mindful. We have to be mindful.
Yeah. Since you talk about that, let's just give a quick example. In Nepal, those people went to the Dharma class, okay? Then people started Dharma class in the morning, but around 11 o'clock, some people came in. And the transmitter said, how come you guys come here now? You know what those lecturers and all the members said? We worked 7 o'clock last night until this moment we got to the temple. We worked 12 plus hours from our houses to get to the temple. They walked more than 12 plus hours to get to the temple early in the morning. They are late, but unfortunately they started to walk the night before. They walked to get to the temple for Dhamma class. So we don't see the sincerity back there. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's one thing. Second thing is, Holy Teacher always said, human being, those temporary sense in the temporary heaven, they can see the absolute heaven, temporary heaven, underworld, and human all this universe. They can see everything. Since they know, so the temporary sense, they are nervous, especially in the temporary heaven. They want to receive Tao, right? People, all those ghosts in the underworld, they are suffering. So they knew they are paying the price now, right? Teacher said, only human world, all those human beings, all living beings, they don't see nothing. You see what I mean? So they're still thinking, hey, I don't feel the pain yet, right? So we think those people above us, below us, they already knew. Only human beings, still we call very stubborn. Because we think, whatever we see, like lecture Kai was talking, we see it, car, houses, everything, fame, power, everything. That's what we are pursuing. But we forgot our spiritual Buddha nature, which is the most important thing. We don't see that. Not the whole world. So we want to make sure our Buddha nature always coming out every minute, every second in our daily life. So we are lucky now. I tell you, I always think of how lucky we are to receive Tao, and then also count it. Receive Tao is only give us. Teacher said, we receive Tao to put in, only give us 10,800 years in the heaven. But we will not stay there forever. We'll come down again. Only through cultivation we can stay longer. And then we can make a vow if we want to come down again. So it's different. Okay? So we are lucky now. We can't keep coming to the temple all the time. We have to keep coming.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
Sorry.
yeah, right, no, that's yeah. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, so basically, while things are good, while nothing bad, really bad is happening, because like Lector Kai says, when we're under duress, when something bad is happening, we'll say anything to, or do anything to try to get out of that situation, right? But that's not true sincerity. We're not really sincere about it. We just want to get out of that situation as soon as possible. And, so, then that won't be lasting, right? So again, we make promises that we don't keep. So the best is, while things are good, we have that sincerity, we do it. Okay, we make those promises while things are good, and we follow up on those. And so basically it should be all the time. Okay, that we have that sincerity, and
It should be like level.
yeah, the level, not
That's the
like
middle
up
path.
and down.
That's
Yeah,
the middle path. That's another way of saying.
Yeah.
Another way of view is the middle path.
Right.
What's the the middle path? It's not because when times are bad, we're desperate. We do whatever, and then when times are good, we drop everything.
Yeah.
So that's not middle path.
Yeah, that's back and forth extremes.
That's called bitter seed.
Yeah.
That's called bitter seed.
Right.
That's what's meant by kuha. That's what Buddha meant by bitter seed. You get it?
The bitter seed,
of living.
the suffering of
Bitter,
dukkha,
suffering.
the dukkha.
Bitter. That's the first noble truth.
Yeah.
That's what he meant by
The reason
that.
we talk about bitter seed because human beings, we are born, right? Are we going to get sick? Right? We don't see it. We are still healthy enough to be here. Not everybody else. Not everybody like us. No. A lot of people are suffering in the hospital. Could be anywhere. Right? That's why suffering, not just hungry, other things, so many things happen to them. Get old is not convenient to do other things. So that's why they see this as bitter seed for the living being.
Yeah. Mhm, yeah.
That's the golden rule.
Yeah. The golden rule, basically how we treat other people. I mean, so, no matter how people treat us, we should always treat them with respect, with kindness, right? Because, I mean, you can say, oh, okay, if I treat them kindly, then I'll get that in return. I mean, we don't have to think about the return aspect, but it's just that the proper way, how we should be, how a Buddha would treat others is through kindness, compassion, love, right? That is the way to avoid creating karma, right? If you treat someone with kindness, they're not going to get angry at you. They're not going to try to get back, say, hurt you, right? Usually not. Okay.
People say that's naive.
Is it the same as do it to others as well?
Yeah. That's essentially what that is.
Treat it as, right? Treat people as people want how they want to, how we want to be treated.
Yeah, I mean,
Teacher always remind us all the time. So this very critical thinking mindset. We don't think about how we're going to treat people. Just think about teacher give us one example. Every day, just think, if you want to react to something, right? If you are the Qigong Buddha or you are the Lady Buddha today, in the moment, what do we do? Right? We want to react. At the moment, say, oh no, Buddha, I do that. We say, okay, you are the Qigong Buddha or you are the Guan Yin Lady Buddha. What will you do at that moment? Just think about what they're going to do. Then we do the same thing as they do. Okay? So just don't like, oh, if Buddha were here, what would they do in this situation? So we can guide us to do the same way that we think they're going to do.
yeah.
So that's interesting. Thinking about the way it happened to them, what do they do? What will they do? We will do the same way.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Go through the two parts, right? Well, Jesus said, what? Do unto others as do unto you. And Confucius said,
Do not do.
do not do unto others as what you do not want others to do, or something like that. That's the inverse. Is that the inverse?
Yeah.
Okay, so what? A to B versus contra A to contra B, right? Okay. Now, it's subtle. There's a subtle difference. People don't. I mean, it essentially means the same. The basic content is the same meaning basically, but one's very subtle. One is more active, and the other is more passive. You get it? Yeah? But one stresses more self-discipline, as the other one is not. Makes more sense? Because Confucius is the inverse of
unto others, right? Do not. So that imposes some kind of discipline, self-discipline. You get it? So that's the subtle part, right? So that's the. Whereas Jesus is more the what active part, you can say. Right? Do unto others, right? Do unto others. That's what you want others to do unto you, right? So that's more the active part, right? The active. The positive, you can say I don't want to say positive, negative. You get it? There's a little subtle difference, right? But essentially, it means the same. Essentially, it's the same. Okay?
Yeah.
That's understand the difference? Subtle, right?
Yeah.
People say that's not easy, but actually, it's not that okay, people. It just means that you. I don't say ignore, but just do not harbor, right? And do not, Well, there are two aspects, I guess. One is immediately don't respond negatively. That's one way. That's one. That's the external. Internal is don't let it reside in you. Do not harbor. Do not become attached to it. Maybe okay. Do not just let it go. Let it go. So that's one way. Now people say, well, if I do that to everybody, I'm going to be taken advantage of. They think I'm a fool. Okay, but there's also a wisdom part to it. Is that the wisdom part is that do not seek. Maybe that's a better way. Do not seek those situations. Don't seek. 不要碰钉子啊！ Maybe after some, if you hit a nail long enough, you'll realize, oh, okay, I can avoid. One way is to avoid. To avoid. Get it? To avoid. Let go. Yeah, to avoid. I mean, there's a wisdom part to it because because people, there are a lot of principles we can apply to daily life. We just know how to. In which situation we should apply it. How do I do it? So that's interesting. But teacher always says, use the Buddha nature. One time I was in Taiwan in class. I think we have a lot of people went to Taiwan. Teacher wants us to get up and tell everybody say one thing called heart. Heart. Then I was supposed to talk about Buddha nature or true heart and Buddha nature. Teacher said, make sure you try to maintain it every second, all the time. Okay? Is it easy or hard? Is it easy or hard? Every second, every day, every drive, every moment, right? It's not easy. But Buddha are like every right moment, they have no thought. Our thought is everywhere, right? Sometimes right now maybe no thought. Maybe they don't have thinking something else. Buddha are not like no thought. 24 hours a day, every day. They are like that. So if we can get to that level, we could be like that. Clear our mindset, don't get into that harm. Every day. We have to practice.
Yeah, that's because we still have like those four images, things like that. The image of I, image of, I guess, sentient beings or whatever.
Being alive.
Yeah, and, so as long as we have those, then that's the problem.
In the time sequence called
The marks.
Away from form,
Yeah.
The ego, personality, the translation, okay?
Yeah.
Ego, personality, being alive.
And not to have any attachments also. So no attachment to that self, no attachment to any kind of dharma either, right? So we think, oh, this is the certain method, certain way, or certain whatever that I have to follow. That we should not become too attached to that either, right? Because dharmas are subject to change too. It's not the true ultimate dharma, which is.
The lecture title talk about attachment. And one time, Holy teacher make one remember. Oh, I like to plant the trees at home. Plant the trees, get small flower plants at home. But once we attach to that, teacher said we could come back next life just as a tree, just to do that. You know what I mean? That's it. Yeah, because you attach to it. We attach to it.
Yeah,
right?
you can't let it go in
We
the
could
end.
come back just for that attachment. You know what I mean? Can you imagine just as I said, wow, be careful in daily life. We attach to so many other things, right? So we got to try to let go of our little things every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, what will help us in our day-to-day cultivation, our daily lives is, what lecture use says, do not let a single thought arise, right? Let go of all affinity. One way to view it is we have to, the idea is for part of our goal of cultivation is we have to, the reason why we have to, not to use our conscious mind is because we want to use our wisdom instead. That's the key. That's the key. 智慧, 妙智慧. That wisdom is really from our Buddha nature. Okay, so the idea is, how do we let that wisdom come out, or so that we can apply it, is to not to clutter our minds with our conscious thoughts. You get it?
The wisdom is come from our Buddha nature.
Right,
It's
right.
not our human wisdom.
There's no, not from wisdom of experience either. Okay, all right, not that. Okay, because that's all hope, that's all what we call from forms, right? From our, okay, so that's the key. That's the key. Actually, if you are able to cultivate to a degree, as you have left the wisdom, it will be it's very hard to imagine. It will just at the right opportunity, at the right moment, it'll come out. You get it? And then so that's the level that we want to reach, so that then we can, like I said, avoid things, avoid confrontation. You get it? Okay, so that's the key. So that's how we want to strive for. Okay, all right. Okay, that's the practical side. I'm talking about practical side. Okay. So, but then already, right now, since we're learning consciously, remember those three wisdoms that we talked about, right? The divine, 妙观察, okay, the divine observing wisdom, right? That you have to be mindful of those, right? The noble truth and the three Dharma seals, the four mindfulness. Use that, apply that, be mindful, aware of that. That's, you can say sometimes learning, but that's okay. But that's the key. Okay, you start with there, then equal universal wisdom, all right, and then perfection of conduct wisdom. I mean, that's when everything
We
goes.
want to let the lecture time continue. But one thought is very important. That's how I learn little thing every day. When we think about something happened to us at daily life, and then we're going to think about what we want to do. But at that moment, it's very critical. Because human beings are going to react to a lot of things, right? We're going to think if something happened, then we're going to think immediately. We're going to react immediately. Stay back. At that moment, sometimes, okay, I'm thinking you do it. And then remind us, I should not think that way. Or we should not do that. So that period, once we start cultivate, the period, originally maybe 30 seconds later, we will react, we'll think that way. Maybe become 10 seconds, maybe 3 seconds, or 1 second later, I should not think that way.
It'll be immediate.
It will be immediate. They shorten the time period. Okay? So become awakened. The moment say, I should not think that way, I should not do that. But the period is getting shorter and shorter. Once we cultivate, it's getting better and better. So one thing is very important is don't get emotional. Don't become very emotional. Because emotional, naturally, always talk about with emotion. Nighttime, the day we leave, we will not become Buddha. With emotions, we cannot become Buddha. You know why? You look at this sentence, wow. We all have emotion, right? No, be careful. That's why we have to cut back emotions.
Yeah.
Passion.
Right.
Emotion.
Yeah. So yeah. Right.
So it's very critical.
Yeah. So the whole goal of cultivation is to help us. You can say that's self-discipline. Yeah. Initially, you call it that. Okay, then it gradually becomes like your habit. You can say it's like a habit, and then it becomes instinct. That's really at the Buddha nature level. You get it? So we have to strive for that.